It's strange that our lives begin in the hospital and ends in the church. So I believe the quicker, the faster we surrender ourselves to God, then we'll find the peace and still find the joy and the mission on this earth. So I would really urge everyone that who does not know Jesus Christ, go find him.
I am awful and dirty and terrible, and I have these urges.
It's like going to a strip club with 6-year-olds.
I thought kind of all four of us were kind of assholes. But that's the whole point of the show.
'Tis the season, bitches.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves, episode number 85. I'm Christian Ferris.
I'm Ryan Trexler.
I'm Petey Alfaro.
I muted the wrong mic. Is that what I did?
Yep.
I totally did.
I'm Petey Alfaro.
And Reb Spence is not with us this evening. Reb is going to get the first official Atheist Airwaves Purple Heart Award, I think.
He's a soldier.
Yes, he, unfortunately, Reb's car, just a moment of silence. I was turning in to come to the show, and I saw there's an accident. There's this guy trying to wave me around, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to go there. That's where I want to go. And I'm like trying to squeeze by this accident. I'm like, I know him. I know him. Reb was in a little bit of an accident on the way to the show, and it's very sad.
It sounds really sad.
Despite the fact that I'm laughing hysterically about it. It's a nervous laugh. But Reb is okay, and I doubt he's going to come. He was shaken up. I talked to him, but I doubt he's going to come in. But maybe he will, and he'll just interrupt everything, and we can talk to him about why he decided to crash his car. All right, let's get back to our intro audio. This week, that was James Na, who I'm not even kidding here, is the president of the Chino Valley Board of Education, talking at, and I'm still not kidding, the public school board meeting about how you need Jesus and how you begin your life in a hospital and end it in a church, which I don't really understand, but
I was under the impression that they were really adamant about life beginning way before you go to the hospital anymore.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's totally true. It's wait a minute, doesn't it start in like the uterus area?
Well, no, it starts like, the moment of ejaculation. That's what they say, right?
I thought it was conception. I mean, conception in the uterus area. Because I was thinking earlier about this and about whether does life begin in the testicles or the penis or the vagina, or is it really just the uterus? I think they would say
probably, yeah.
Uterus, because it's not like every time you had sex with your wife, because you're not allowed to have sex with someone who's not your wife, every time you did that, you would be killing millions of babies, right? I mean, it's like right into the wall. That can't be okay with Jesus. So Mr. Na is a member of the Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, which is a local megachurch there in Chino Hills, California. And the church recently, in the last couple of years, has been encouraging their members to vote in members of the church to be on the school board. And they've been pretty successful, because now they have 3 of the 5 school board members. Remember that number. 3 of the 5 school board members are members of this megachurch. And what you heard at the beginning of the show is like, I mean, this is what they do. This is what the school board meetings, public school board meetings look like in Chino Valley.
Yeah, they're reading, they're reading Bible passages at every school board meeting. They're talking about, what does this have to do with education? I don't.
What's sad too is that they're just all letting it happen. Like nobody's standing up, nobody's speaking out. They're just voting them in like it's no big deal that, church and school, they're just blending the two when it should be totally separated.
This goes to a point that I make all the time about, a lot of the times conservatives or libertarians or a lot of people will say about small local government is the most reactive to the community. but small local government, including school boards, because they're elected representatives, are the most easily swayed and overtaken by big interest groups. And we see it with elections and school boards and stuff where Koch brothers invest money into school board elections, hundreds of thousands of dollars that the Koch brothers or their subsidiaries will throw money at school board elections and local elections and stuff like that, stuff that we don't even conceive of, like who would care who the mayor of Aransas Pass is.
Right.
But they're spending money on that, and that's where actual things happen that really affect people on the day to day.
Yeah, I think the Koch brothers are scary enough all by themselves, but we're talking about a megachurch. I mean, we're not talking about just wealthy random people. We're talking about a church who is strategizing to take over the education of children and being successful at it. I mean, they've got 10,000 members, so in a small community, that's a lot of votes.
Yeah, and it's really scary when you start considering that this is an organized plan of action that this church has taken. And you start going, okay, but you're not supposed to be representative of churches in your elected positions, and it's really scary. And I don't know what somebody does about it other than trying to get people to vote. And that, if we knew how to do that, we wouldn't have any of these problems.
I will tell you what they do about it.
Okay, what do they do about it?
The FFRF comes to the rescue and they sue the pants off these mothers. And to be honest with you, this is a textbook classic case of the settlement that the FFRF, Freedom from Religion Foundation, made with the IRS last year to coerce them into enforcing their nonprofit rules, because I think in one church in the last 60 years has lost their nonprofit status for being involved in elections when they're not supposed to be at all. Clearly, this church is just doing whatever the F it wants. So on the one hand, the FFRF is all over it because I would hope that soon the IRS is going to be all over these jackholes, and I'd love to see them try and afford whatever megachurch BS they have going on there. The other thing is that the FFRF last year sent them a letter saying, "Hey, could you kindly knock this off because this is not cool." And I mean, I guess it's a little bit putting aside things like they have been trying to put the Bible into the curriculum at the school, putting aside things like that. The infusion of religion into the meetings can really go either way. They either have to let the garage sale happen and let all the other religions in, and the Satanists have to come in and give their little Satan thing, and the atheists have to come in and all that, or they have to knock it off. This past January, so they basically told the FFRF, go F yourselves, and the FFRF said we weren't kidding and actually filed a federal lawsuit against these people. In January, the school board voted to, by a vote of 3-2, there are 3 church members in this group and 2 not. They voted to take them on. They said, we're going to find a lawyer who's going to take our case for free so it doesn't cost the school any money, and we're going to fight it.
Yeah, they're in for a very rude surprise when they lose.
Right. And they're going to be like, wait, what? Lawyer fees? What is that? Yeah. They're screwed.
Yeah, so if you fight a lawsuit and you lose the lawsuit, you're probably going to be responsible for the lawyer fees for your opposition. So whether or not you find somebody to take on your case pro bono, if it's a losing position, you're still going to lose money. And what's sad is then that school district is going to lose that money. And
it's the kids,
that's
right out of the
education
kids.
Money. Yeah.
This is money that cannot be we cannot afford to just toss at frivolous lawsuits, which is exactly what these church people are doing. Tech Leslie in the chat room notes that this is exactly what happened. I think it was in Pennsylvania. She's referring to a town where the local Orthodox Jews took over the school board and started shutting everything down. Was there an outcome to that yet, Leslie? Let me know. Rachel OG in the chat room says, if an atheist group took over a school board or any other minority, there would be riots. And I cannot agree with that more. You wouldn't even have to do anything. I mean, these people are actually trying to push their religion. you get 3 out of 5 people on the school board are atheists, they would tear the whole place down, regardless of what they did.
Can you imagine not pushing religion into public
I
school?
know, right?
Weird.
Crazy. It's just absurd to think about it.
So at the last school board meeting, when they voted to do this, one of the church members made a short little speech that I thought was kind of interesting. His name is Andrew Cruz, and at the end of the meeting, he was talking about how horrible it is that that our country is the way it is now. I just want to, so while I'm reading this, you're going to say to yourself, this makes no sense. And I just want you to know, that's right. This makes no sense. It's not that you're not listening correctly. It's not that I'm not reading it right. This is the kind of crap that comes out of these people's mouths. So Andrew said, quote, "What is happening today, what the terrorists are doing, but what is really important is that you can't look at the direction of the terrorist. You've got to look at the direction of our leaders, because what our leaders are doing is that they are eroding our rights and they're also moving away from God. It's so bizarre when you really think about it, that a century ago they had people who were promoting freedom, our rights, and now things have changed dramatically." Okay, Andrew. He's doing this little, okay, look at the terrorist, now look away. Now look back at him. Now look at the leaders, now look away. Look at the terrorist. I don't even know. I don't know. So it's full on crazy town in Chino Valley, and like you said, I don't know that there's much you can do other than sue them and try and beat them into submission and make them, because you can't take them off the boards. If large enough groups of whack jobs want to take over local politics, they can.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the votes, they can do it. You just have to hope that you can force them to abide at least by the Constitution.
They don't realize it's their privilege, that, that is the norm, that, so many people just sit back and just watch it happen instead of, getting together and voting them out. That it's so hard because just so many people are like, oh, well, that's just the way it is. So what are we going to do?
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to news. This week, 2 men who claimed to be connected to ISIS, and ISIS has now claimed them back, so they're buds. They attacked a Draw Muhammed cartoon event being held by the Alliance Defending Freedom Initiative in Garland, Texas. The ADFI is listed as an anti-Muslim hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, incidentally. This attack was intended to be a Charlie Hebdo style attack, but it really didn't work out quite that way for these 2 men. Let me pause for a moment and give this story the proper theme music that it needs to describe their attack. Okay. Okay. So,
That wasn't expected.
All right. I guess that's the way
Okay.
it worked out.
So these 2 guys, they've got body armor and they've got assault rifles, right? And they decide they're going to go assault this. It's just like a community center. And they drive up, and the AFDI, or ADFI? The ADFI, they have hired 40 police officers to provide security because they're like, we know what Muslims do when you draw Muhammad, so we're not stupid.
Yep, they spent $10,000 for extra security from the police.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep.
Wow. So they drive up, and they apparently were not expecting this. So the parking lot is blocked off with cones and a police car, and they drive up. They stop. The cop gets out of his car to come talk to him, and they get out of their car with their guns, and they just start lighting him up. And they're just like, they're just shooting at the car and at the guy, and the cop's like, oh, okay, and takes out his Glock, his handgun, kills one of them, gets shot in the foot, and then kills the other guy. Literally, the entire assault takes 15 seconds. They take this cop of the year to the hospital. It's all over. Not exactly the way I think they probably hoped that was going to go.
I'm just curious. You said that, and I did see today that ISIS has accepted them back or claimed
have.
them back. So did they approve their friend request on Facebook,
that's-
or how did that work exactly?
Well, they tried to follow them on Twitter, but then Twitter deleted their account. So,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
at that point, they were like, okay, we'll just pretend we were. You know? But this is what I'm saying is like, if you were being represented by a couple of morons who, with assault rifles and body armor, against one guy with a handgun
Glock.
in its holster, and they couldn't last 15 seconds against this badass. I'm just like, wouldn't you just say, no, I don't know who these people are.
Those
No.
are radicals. They're crazy.
It's a false flag operation. That's what, those were Americans. I don't know. I don't know why you would accept that. So these guys are the world's worst terrorists, and I wish terrorists of this caliber on everyone.
Right.
If you're going to be attacked by terrorists, these are your guys. These are the guys you want going after you. In the aftermath of this incident, I have become incredibly fed up with a lot of people in our own community, atheists, both here in Corpus Christi and all around the country and the world. These people who are what did they expect was going to happen? If you taunt Muslims with Muhammed cartoons, this is what's going to happen to you. Victim blaming mentality. And I just literally cannot even with these people.
Yeah, you and I both have gone through this in the last couple of days with people from our very own small little community, and I've seen it on liberal Facebook pages and everything else, and everywhere I turn, it's, well, what did they expect to happen? Why are they shocked that Muslims extremists tried to harm them for doing this?
See, but what gets blurred in that picture is they shouldn't have to expect this or think it's going to happen. There's no reason for those people to get so angry over a cartoon and somebody else's expression of their own opinion or belief or whatever towards those religious extremists that blowing this shit out of the water.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think the level of surprise you should or do have at a criminal committing a crime has anything to do with anything. I know, we all know. No, there's no one in our culture who doesn't know that Muslims are assholes. Extremist Muslims are assholes when shit like this happens. I mean, we talk about people being burned alive all the time on this show. It's completely irrelevant to the issue. And all you're doing when you're saying, oh, well, what did you expect? You are providing cover for the actual criminals, the people who are killing people or trying to kill people. Throwing themselves uselessly at the biggest badass in Texas. But it does no good to point out that, you should have locked your doors. You should have.
Oh, that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and just accept it too on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm done with victim blaming of all kinds. It helps not at all. Even if you have a point, and I'm not saying you do, but even if you have a point, it serves no purpose whatsoever to blame the people these people were trying to kill.
Yeah. There is a time and a place to have conversations about whether they're bad people, which they are, whether they're a hate group, which they are. And those discussions need to take place before they happen. And to the credit of people that did happen, there were protests about this event beforehand. But like you said, when you bring it up as part of the conversation about what happens to them, now whether they were actually victims because they didn't get shot is immaterial. Somebody tried to shoot them.
Yeah.
So when you bring up the fact that, well, they're a hate group as part of the conversation of these terrorists tried to kill them, you're not doing anyone a service. All you're doing is protecting the people that tried to kill them.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, because I had a whole bunch of people in our local community who, after the Charlie Hebdo thing, were like, well, a lot of the Charlie Hebdo cartoons over the years have been racist and blah 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 blah. I'm like, there is no reason for us to be talking about this at all right now. This is not relevant to what is going on right now. If they were racist before this happened, would be the time to criticize them for that, or long after it's over. I have a big problem with people criticizing victims. And because it really does have this backlash effect where you are giving tacit approval to the killers. Even if you preface it with, of course, it's not okay to kill people, but do not, no buts. There are no buts. Do not throw butts in the middle of the condemnation of murder or terrorism. Just let it go, man. It's not an important point at that point.
Yeah, and there's nothing that sickens me more than having to defend people that are racist, bigoted idiots. And that's what I've had to do to people that say, well, they should have known what was going to happen. And then I have to defend them. I have to be the rational person that says, no, these bigots and xenophobes, they had the right to do that. I don't want to have to say that. Please accept that they, like, somebody else, please know that they have the right to do that, and don't make me defend them.
That's exactly right. And that happens to me a lot, where I end up defending the worst. Yay!
You want to sit here? You can sit here.
Yeah, look at over there. Reb has entered the building.
I might have to leave if I get a call.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, I gotta unmute your mic. So we've already voted you the first Purple Heart Award of Atheist Airwaves ever. So I mean, that's like, you know,
That's a big
good
deal, yeah.
and it's a good trade-off, you know, car, metal.
Yeah.
It's
And non-existent metal.
It's
I'll always carry
imaginary
around
though.
with me.
It's in our hearts. We have it right here in our hearts. It's imaginary.
Our cold, dark atheist hearts. How is your car?
I don't know. I guess I'll fix it or something.
But are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Because it's fun about the car.
Let him fix his microphone. Go ahead.
There we go. I'm good.
Cool. Give me a little bit so I can.
Yo, what's up? Where you at?
Okay, well, I don't think the accident has.
Have you been taking shots out there? What the hell? I want a shot.
All right. Rachel OG in the chat room calls these two guys Pinky and the Brain Terrorists, which is freaking amazing. I wish I had thought of this because I would have put something together.
I smell a show title.
Yes. Oh, that would be it. Yeah, there you go. First time in the chat room gets the show title. That's amazing. We're talking about the terrorism guys.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, they sound like dummies. So.
That's what we just finished talking
Pretty
about.
much.
It's like their huge Muslim terrorist assault lasted 15 seconds, and they had assault rifles and body armor.
Did they ever find any bombs or anything? Because I know they were looking at cars and at the
There
Walmart.
was a car that they investigated. I don't think they did. If they did, it didn't make the news.
Yeah.
So.
It seems like, I don't know, if ISIS wanted the big attack, the first one, maybe they should have held off for a better one later down the line.
Right.
And not use those guys.
So at the same time, I want to talk about the Charlie Hebdo, one of the only remaining illustrators at Charlie Hebdo. I forget his name now, but Loose something or the other.
Well, that narrows it down.
There you go.
Oh, this is what he went by.
It was L-U-Z. Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
Oh, Luz, yeah. Something like
Whatever.
that. Well, he's French. Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm Spanish. I say loose.
Okay. So, but he announced this week that he would no longer be drawing Muhammad. And, you know, he wasn't really specific about why. He just said it wasn't interesting to him anymore. But honestly, I have no problem with that. I'm like, I get it, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that only escaped the Charlie Hebdo attack because he overslept that morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's forcing anybody to do things like this. If we'll protect people's rights to be able to do it, but nobody's holding you up to keep doing it. If you're, it's understandable to be scared if that's the case. I don't know if that's the case.
Sure.
But I get it.
It has to be. And I mean,
I can't think of another reason.
yeah.
It would put the fear of violence
Yeah.
into me. Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, to
sure.
where it's like, okay.
I mean, I do things that could reasonably result in violence. I have received death threats. I have ceased considering them credible death threats, so they don't bother me very much anymore. But if I was in this guy's shoes, I have a family, I would probably say, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's cool. It's cool. I get it.
Well, I mean, considering the number of death threats that are made on the internet like every day, I mean,
Right.
only a small fraction of those are even worthy, I think, of consideration.
yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, so the other thing I wanted to say is that while I'm really, really annoyed by people who are apologists for terrorists and trying to blame the victims, I also want to say that, when a victim says, hey, I'm out, man, I'm totally okay with that. I mean, and I'm totally okay. I think that, I say this on the show a lot, actually, that I think that if you're an atheist, you should be as out as you possibly can because it helps all other atheists. But if you can't be, if you're afraid to be, if the consequences are potentially horrible for you, don't do it. We got other people, man.
Yeah, and I've heard you make the argument on shows that I wasn't on. That you talk about if somebody's holding a gun to your head and telling you, either, praise God, praise Allah, or we'll shoot you in the head. You know what? If you want to say praise Allah, then that's fine. I'm not holding that against you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not worth it. This is not a hill to die on, right?
Well, there's nothing to die for. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Right. We have the, that knowledge that, there's no reward for dying for your principles. Right.
Leslie in the chat room says, I see it as a mic throwdown. He's just like, peace. I'm out.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I mean, so this is the guy who did the first cover of the magazine after the massacre, and so he did the Muhammed cartoon for that for the cover of that magazine, and yeah, I'm thinking, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, any Muhammad cartoon he does after that's not going to be
Right.
near as awesome as
Yeah.
that one
Right.
with this much
So it's
worldwide
kinda-
coverage.
Yeah, I don't know. I do have to say though that people take this stuff seriously. In the wake of this terrorist attack, I posted the picture that won the ADFI contest.
Oh, I haven't even seen it.
It's basically a picture of Muhammad coming out
Oh,
of
the one
frame.
where it's like, this is why I'm drawing you.
Oh, yeah.
okay. That's
And
what-
he's saying, you can't draw me. And then the artist who's drawing him is saying, this is why I draw you. And I posted that to the Corpus Christi Atheist Facebook page, and only one person would touch that. And they one guy was like, yes, like. Everyone else was like, oh. Maybe not so much. A few more piled on after I noted that, but for a day, it was just like,
It just sat there.
yeah. Our good friend Victor was just like, yes, that's awesome. And everyone was like just backing away slowly. They're here in Texas, man. I'm out. All right. So let's move on to the other side of the world for a moment, over to Australia. Aidan Fenton was a 7-year-old from Australia who had type 1 diabetes. The was part makes me really happy that Jay's no longer on the show, so we can skip over the whole let the kids die conversation and move right on.
We can still have it though. I can do that for you.
No.
No.
Please don't.
This is the benefit. This is the benefit. There are some bad downsides for Jay not being here. This is one of the benefits. So please don't rectify that situation for me, Rab. So Aiden is dead because his parents sought alternative medical care for their son instead of medicine, which, it's like another day, another crackpot parent's dead kid. We talk about this all the time, but I honestly can't figure out how these parents thought this was an okay thing to put their son through. This treatment, and I'll tell you in a second, I don't know how it rises to the level of, oh, this sounds legit. And even the craziest crackpot's mind, I do not understand. So they took him to see this Chinese healer. It was a several-day workshop that he was giving.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
traveled there and stayed in a hotel
Yeah.
to go to this so that their son could go through it.
So this guy practices something called slap therapy.
Sounds legit.
Get over here.
I mean,
Right now.
I
Get
could
over here.
use some slap therapy.
Maybe Jay could have used some slap therapy, right? So,
You can pretty much just guess what slap therapy is about just by hearing the term slap therapy. Can I demonstrate the technique on you, Reb? What?
he's closer to you. It's
Okay,
really bad.
Ryan,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
just for the show? I'm not gonna. Do
Oh, I was so ready for it.
he was totally gonna let me too.
Yeah, it was.
Here comes the phone call.
Dun, dun,
Feel free to just
dun,
come and go as you need to,
dun,
Reb.
dun, 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 dun.
So yeah, essentially the idea is that you slap people or slap yourself, and you keep slapping yourself until you get nice and bruised from head to toe, and then yada yada yada, you're healed.
You can't yada 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 the healing.
But that's all they did. It was just a continuous slap, slap,
Yeah.
slap,
Yeah.
slap, 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 and it didn't seem to stop until it was crazy long time.
Now,
Like,
correct me if I'm wrong, but the slap therapist claimed that he encourages his patients, that's with quotation marks in the air, to continue their normal therapies for whatever
Yes.
disease. So
No.
that's what he's claiming.
That's what he's saying. Now
Yeah.
let's also note that this healer has fled the country. Okay, so he's
no way that's true.
right. This is what
Right.
he's saying after he left. he ran away, and now that he's safely out of arm's length of the authorities, this is what he's saying.
Didn't they have to fast like 3 days before?
Yes.
So now he's exhausted, starving,
Yep.
dehydrated,
This is
and beating the shit out of himself.
Yeah, this is a 7-year-old boy. He's got diabetes. The only thing he ate during this time period was rice. You can't do that as a diabetic.
It's so sad.
Yeah, and he's 7. He's 7. I can't even imagine what's going through his head while his parents are like, yes, you have to beat yourself until.
How? Like, how do you convince a kid to do that? I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't know, but
My son is 7,
you would think. He would think, right?
My son would be like, no.
That's what I like to hear. That's why I like that guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I could coerce him, I'm sure, because I am large and
True.
he is small. I could coerce my children pretty successfully to do just about any messed up thing that I wanted them to do. But I just can't imagine what's going through that kid's head. He's starving. He's feeling sick because he vomited during this whole thing because I mean he's diabetic and you're starving him.
The dehydration, the no food, it's gonna make the whole dizzy spells
sugar,
and
yeah.
just reactions in your body that you can't help. And then if you're now slapping yourself in the face until your face is literally black and blue,
And I don't know that we're really doing justice to exactly how awful and traumatic this is to people's bodies. If you Google this crap, because these people are covered in deep bruises like I've never had. I mean, I've had like playing hockey when a puck hits me. I've had like a little puck-sized bruise that looks like this, but this is all over their body, head to toe.
when I was reading the story today, I was just so in shock. And the more you read, and then the farther it goes, and it kept on, and then the no eating, and then just rice, and then your parents are just fine with this, and then he didn't have to have. I mean, he wasn't taking his medication. He had to have it, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And then even when you're not eating, of course, if you are taking your medication is going to react to you not having food in your body.
Yep.
To where just the extremity of this case was just like, oh my gosh, like why would anybody?
Does anyone want to hear the scientific reason why slap therapy works?
Oh, it works?
I would love to hear somebody's claim as to why.
I'm like, really?
You sound skeptical.
Oh,
Ryan.
no, I'm totally open-minded. Go on.
Okay. So the first part is that it says our skin is closely related to meridians, which are energy channels in the body. Come on in, Reb. Everyone, a new drinking game. When Reb comes in or goes out, you drink.
Yay.
No alcohol for me tonight.
You want me to drive you home?
Sure. Well, because I can't drive myself, so.
Oh, do we know? Hey. Cinco de Mayo, baby. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Let's see.
Scientifically.
Limbs, 5 internal organs, 6 entrails, and 9 apertures, including the eyes, ears, nostrils, mouth, urethra, and anus. So these are important things for you to know.
These are the meridians.
These are the meridians. This is where the energy goes.
Mhm.
Okay. So the slapping enhances one's faith and power of the heart. So, you believe in your heart and you empower it that way. It stimulates and cleanses relevant meridians to facilitate the chi flow. So your chi is now flowing through your body because you've beaten the shit out of yourself. Smooth chi flow will in turn help the circulation of blood, obviously. Is anyone going to object to that?
Well, I mean, technically, if you're beating the crap out of yourself and blood's exiting your system, you have to make new blood to re-energize
Aren't you
yourself.
always making new blood, though?
I guess you technically
Yeah.
are. So,
Okay. So this clears the meridians and could cure diseases. They actually use the word could. So I mean, that is like in all of this nonsense, that is the word where they have covered their asses.
I think his parents missed that part.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, could, would, what?
Well, even if you go to the doctor, no procedure is generally 100%, right? So, I mean,
I
that
wonder
would be
what.
the same thing a doctor would
Sure. I wonder what his success rate is.
That's what I was going to say. It's like,
Too bad he wasn't around to tell us about it, right?
could encompasses a whole range from 0.00001 to everyone. So
Now, see, to me, this seems like this guy wasn't even trying to come up with like legit reasons and ways that this works. Like if somebody would say like, well, if you slap real hard, it adjusts the magnetic fields. I would say, oh, that almost sounds plausible and almost scientific because, you can hit things with a magnet and change their magnetic field. But we're talking cheese and meridian. As soon as you said meridian, I lost my mind. I'm not going to lie.
I don't even know what this means, but Rachel G in the chat room says that her Kundalini accidentally sodomized her meridian. So
Whoa.
that sounds legit.
Kundalini?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa.
She said I was like, what the hell is that? She's like, Google it. But so
I don't want to Google it.
I know, right?
Post show.
Yeah. Post show, we are Googling Kundalini. I'm like, let me put
Although
that
of
in
all
notes.
the meridians, the anus meridian's my favorite.
Any particular reason? Is that just where the chi flows more smoothly?
Well,
or-
I assume that's where the chi flows out. I mean, that's why taking a shit feels so good, right?
I'm glad you said that.
Right?
Of course.
That's science.
It's science.
Okay, so there's the last part to our scientific explanation. So we're not done yet. The padded and slapped parts of the body will automatically gather chi and blood, a lot of
A
blood,
lot of bruises, and that's where the blood clots.
which then facilitates their circulation. Okay. As a toxin sweeper, the enhanced chi automatically scans the body to locate and cleanse the blocked meridians. As a result, toxic waste, illnesses, and even tumors can be cleared.
I love that they use the word toxic twice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can fool a lot of people if you start throwing around words like toxic and cleanse because people are stupid. I'm sorry, but people are stupid.
Yep. I mean, you just need a couple of... I mean, that's what I get out of this whole thing is like, if you can make something sound complicated, scientific, and, oh, there's something to that, you can fool people out of money.
Well, that's my basis for believing most things. Like, well, I don't understand it, so might as well be true.
Yeah, sure.
That was literally the basis for Ken Ham's entire debate with Bill Nye. Was can I make this sound scientific enough that even though it doesn't mean anything, my people will be like, hell yeah. See how complicated that is?
See, you use science-y words.
Yeah. That's why he's my boy.
He put the endings on there. Toxicity. It's like, oh.
That's like a whole 2 or 3 other syllables,
Oh, man.
So apparently he's led the country and is saying that he didn't tell him to stop, but he fled the country. So I don't know.
What's crazy is we keep on reading more and more stories about this, and it keeps on going on and on and on.
Yeah.
And these parents don't understand how fucking crazy they are and how much they're actually hurting their kids.
Well, doesn't the guy like make you slap yourself, right? Like he's not slapping you, he's like, you do it.
They do both ways, but what
still.
the video they were showing were people slapping themselves. Yeah.
You're taking a 7-year-old to go slap himself, you know? So,
I really
Oh, I just had a terrible image in my head. Quit yourself, quit yourself. It's so bad. I'm a terrible,
stop.
terrible person.
start hitting yourself. Start hitting yourself. I can't imagine being the kind of parent, even if I weren't so like a skeptic and an atheist, I can't imagine being the kind of parent who was like, I have a sick child. I'm just going to stop giving him the medicine that he needs. And I'm just going to assume that this thing is going to work. I'm just going to assume.
having drinks earlier with my coworkers without going too far into it, they were like, so what are you going to talk about today? And so I mentioned this story because they're all parents. And they were just like, what? Like, this happens.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. They don't understand that people can be so brainwashed and so into this whole idea that they were just like, oh no, I mean, you know, one of the guys was diabetic himself, you know, type 1 that's on insulin daily, to where he was just like, what?
Yeah.
This happens, you know, in 2015.
See, I think, and I wouldn't be surprised if, I guess I was a little harsh earlier when I said people are stupid. A lot of the times it's scared people are stupid.
Yeah.
When somebody tells you that your 7-year-old, and he might have been younger when he was diagnosed, is diabetic, has type 1 diabetes, is going to have to manage it all his life, is probably going to die younger than most people, you start clinging on to anything that promises a hope of something better, and fear works as a motivator.
At the same time, though, I put myself in these parents' shoes, and I can totally understand, despite the fact that this is clearly nonsense. I can totally wrap my brain around. My child is sick. I'll try freaking anything to make my child better. I mean, I can totally understand that. At the same time, I don't see letting go of the modern medicine branch before I know that this pseudoscience nonsense Chinese slapping thing is actually working. I don't go to a conference and go against everything my doctors have told me about feeding my child, go against everything about medicine until I know that this slapping thing.
Well, remember, the science route isn't promising a cure. It's just promising you a way of managing it.
It's promising you not to die.
Yeah.
But you know what this guy was offering was a cure,
But
and
still-
that's it's intoxicating.
But this is what I'm saying, though, is that I totally get trying that, but not ignoring the medical advice while you're trying it. Because what is the harm in having your kid beat the shit out of himself and taking insulin shots?
And eating, you know, because, you know, diabetes is one of those things that it's manageable. It's horrible. It's not like it's an easy thing and it's an easy fix. I'm not saying that there's nothing to it, but at the same time, there are ways, and science has proven that you can manage it. I'm not saying that it's curable.
I
But
mean, I'm not diabetic. I have diabetics in my family. I can't imagine the harm that is done to a person that's diabetic by forcing them to eat nothing except pure carbs every once in a while. I can't imagine the blood glucose levels fluctuating and the kind of damage that does to your system. I don't know what.
Sorry. I have needed to cough so badly.
oh, I was like, it's not me that time.
Yeah.
No, that was you with your stupid cough.
I'm sorry, it's empty. I need to open another one.
All right, well, do it now because I'm like
Yeah,
all
we
interrupting
already
things with
messed
the...
everything
yeah, he's
up.
gonna edit this out. Anyway, so.
Yeah, it's all going to get edited out. So you open your thing. I'm going to finish dying of my lung disease.
If you're listening live, this never happened. Doodly-doo, doodly-doo, doodly-doo. I can't believe she didn't open that before the show.
I know, right? What is wrong with you? This is not your first day.
Yeah, Christian takes
I
all
know,
his
right?
and opens them before.
Hey, mine
Right.
are open too. I took lessons from him. I didn't want to get in trouble.
I figured the whole show was going to
yeah.
be a mess because of Rev.
Daddy eyes, daddy eyes.
Oh, this is the first time I've given Daddy eyes in a long time. Maybe it was just the reception. I don't know
The
what
receiver.
it is. Yes. Okay. Anyway, I.
That's not me.
That was
I'm
totally
not,
you.
I'm not beeping. Who's beeping? Somebody's beeping.
Anyway, I totally can't imagine handing someone over to physically abuse my child. if anyone is going to slap my child around, it's going to be me. Which is totally not true. I actually don't believe in corporal punishment of any kind.
So you wouldn't hand your child over to someone else?
No, I don't believe in other people doing it either. No.
It's not me.
I don't know what the hell's
Look,
going.
my shit's right here.
What is that?
What's what?
That's
whatever he's doing.
Oh, that's
See?
your chair and the bottle underneath your chair.
No, it's not. I was holding it.
He's pointing at me.
Okay, stop doing that.
Just hold really
I
still.
can't move, everyone.
That's why I take my shoes off.
Pretend my shoe is up your ass.
Oh,
I told you I need to lay up the Whataburger. This is going to collapse under me.
Oh, God, this is so off the rails.
It's all Reb's fault.
It is kind of my fault. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But there's always been 4 people in every show still. Sort of.
Yay.
That's right up top. Woo.
Purple Heart. Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. This weekend we'll be meeting at Executive Surf Club downtown. If you don't know where that is, visit ccatheist.com for a list of our public events. If you're interested in connecting with our affiliates, please visit southtexascor.com to connect with any of our sister organizations all the way down to Mexico. All right, so this next story is kind of a repeat of the first one in that these are stories you hear over and over and over again. These are people making the same flipping mistakes over and over and over again. But this is the kind that I never get tired of hearing. So I get tired of hearing about dead children, but this guy is kind of awesome. 52-year-old Republican State Representative Randy Boning is a virulently anti-gay asshole in North Dakota with quite possibly the best freaking name for this freaking story. Randy Boning. I just love that. I don't even care if that's how it's really pronounced. That's how.
Yeah, I thought it was like Bowring. Or
Shut up!
something.
No.
It's
It may
boning.
be Baning, but I think it's Boning actually.
It's got an O in it.
I thought it had an R in it too, though.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Boehning.
Oh, that's boning.
Boning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's boning.
Randy Boning. What are his parents thinking? Randy Boning. Jeez. Okay. So
Probably
anyway,
a family name.
like
Good,
Reb.
strong family name.
So Randy Boning has over and over and over again proved his homophobic mettle in the North Dakota House. Most recently, he voted down a bill that would have banned discrimination against LGBT people. He's also supported the same-sex marriage ban in that state and opposed an anti-bullying measure that was aimed at protecting LGBT youth, like kids. And he nixed that one too. He's a great guy. I love this guy.
Real winner.
Yeah. So 21-year-old Dustin Smith came forward this week and revealed that Randy Boning has been trying to Randy Bone him through Grindr. I don't know. I don't exactly know what Grindr is. How many of you are on Grindr?
No.
No. Anyone know what Grindr is?
It's a gay.
I mean, I've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard of it,
It's
but
a gay
I'm-
bang
I'm-
app thing, right?
Okay, you guys stay in the closet. Okay, it's a gay and bi male.
Yeah, you just message people like, "Hey, come suck my dick," and then they come over and suck your dick, right?
That's
That's the way it works,
That's,
right?
I mean,
That's
it's
how it
it's
works.
originally where is it Tinder?
Tinder. Yeah.
Tinder.
Tinder
It's
was,
it's that's where they got Tinder's idea because Grindr was a huge success for all these, a lot of the times closeted people because they were on this app that nobody else knew about. But
That's what he was getting off on.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so Randy Boning, I'm gonna say that name so many times. Was asking Dustin what he liked to do in bed, what he liked, what he didn't like, what he was into, and he asked for he's like, hey, can you send me a dick pic? And Dustin's like, not so much.
Those are good questions to get to know somebody. You know, I mean,
These
Right
are
away. That's important
yes,
stuff.
yeah. You gotta dive right into the what do you like to do in bed, and can you send me a picture of your dick?
Because you want to know if it's a mess down there or not. Right?
because why do you want to spend a lot of time talking to this dude if it's a total mess?
and that's really the whole day. He spent like a year and a half messaging that guy, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it seems like after a year and a half, like move on, dude. There's
Yeah.
plenty of other dudes on there.
Like, you're
you know.
not getting this. Stop already.
There's plenty of dudes in Grindr.
I didn't even think about that. So getting let on for like a year and a half. At
Right?
some point, somebody's got to be like, "Look, it's not going to work out. I don't know what you think you're getting out of this
I'm just
relationship."
not into you.
Randy Boning has the biggest blue balls in North Dakota. No doubt.
What is North Dakota? I would assume maybe their gay community's probably not as big.
It's
potentially.
probably sparse. Yeah, it's sparsely populated,
The
right?
whole population is sparse.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I mean.
there may not be many people in his area, I guess, potentially for him to meet up with.
Oh,
It's
maybe,
pretty much him
yeah.
and Dustin. 21-year-old Dustin and 52-year-old Randy. They're the only gay guys in North Dakota. Okay, so all of this, like Reb was saying, happened over a year and a half. It happened a long time ago. But the money shot was Randy actually sent to Dustin an unsolicited dick pic because that's what dudes do, right?
That's what I do.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That's-
I've gotten a few.
Have you?
That's my super move. You know, when I want to
It's
get a
been a
girl to come
while.
with, just
I mean, I'm
bam.
not saying I'm above sending them, but they're always solicited.
So, how often has sending you unsolicited dick pics worked on you, BD?
Never.
Really?
Yeah.
Not once. Not once have you gotten like a dick pic.
And
you're
I was like,
And
I
you're
"Oh,
like, wow, look at that one.
gotta have that.
That's
No.
my master stroke. That's how I seal every deal right there. The dick pic, the unsolicited dick pic.
Okay,
No.
so that doesn't work.
If you want the sparks to fly, send the unsolicited dick pic.
I know we're getting way off topic here, but I just in my head I've been thinking about why guys do this and do this and do this and do this. I have to imagine that there is a subset of the population of women that this works on. I mean, we're talking about gay men, but it must, because I think if you just do it in volume and you send out 100,000 dick pics and you get one woman like,
Yep.
ooh, that's really good.
And who
You know?
cares about the 999,999 rejections? If you've ever read, and unfortunately, I'm not ashamed to admit that I have read books about how to attract women and how to pick up women.
Oh, the pickup artist stuff.
Yeah, the pickup
I
artist
would,
stuff.
I would be ashamed to admit
Whatever.
that, but okay.
I
I've
don't
read
read
it.
books.
It's research.
And
For
they're,
show.
they're
I
all
don't read.
they all basically come back to the same thing: volume, 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 volume. Hit on everybody, and eventually somebody's going to take the line.
Yeah.
So if
And I-
you send out, go ahead.
In all fairness, it may work on other women, but my open relationship status on my Facebook is probably misleading to some guys, but because my relationship with my husband is different than what most guys would see as open relationship to her. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah, I get it.
I
That.
swear I'm sitting still.
All I know
Not
is it's not
working.
me.
Do you have to stand for the rest of the show? Is that-
Get
that
in
what
the
we have to do?
corner.
Where's the
corner.
dunce cap?
I'll sit in the recliner.
Tech Leslie in the chat room says that she has had sex with people who sent her dick pics, but never because of the dick pics. So my question to you, and we'll come back around to this. Stop doing that.
I'm
What?
shaking
It
my
can't be that-
head.
It can't be that. No.
But it's totally you.
Best,
Oh, it looks like you fixed it. Good job.
Okay, good.
best show ever.
Were these people who sent you dick pics and you're like, oh, I'm still kind of interested? Or did you ask them, was this a mutual thing? Tell us a little bit more of these dick pics is what I want to know. Okay, so Dustin led this guy on for a year and a half. And then he saw an article in the newspaper with this guy on the cover celebrating, getting rid of the anti-LGBT the anti-discrimination bill for LGBT people, and he's like, "Hey, that dick looks awfully familiar.
I know that one.
Like, why does this asshole look so fucking familiar? Oh yeah, I have naked pictures of that asshole.
Because who doesn't keep them? Even
Right,
if you're
yeah,
not
yeah.
writing back and hooking
Absolutely.
up, you gotta
have to.
keep it.
You got to. You never know who's going to run for president. You just never know.
Reb's
right?
never gonna be president, by the way.
There's way too many unsolicited dick pics out there.
So this is the best part of the story, though. Did anyone see the interview with this guy in his local hometown paper?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I just love it because he really was just blowing off all the news outlets and saying, I won't give interviews, won't give interviews. He gave an interview to his local hometown newspaper, and they asked him, so why are you sending, naked pictures of yourself to dudes on Grindr? And his response is, I'm gay, and that's what gay guys do on gay sites. I'm like, Wow.
He was just like so
Yes.
fine with just saying it all of
Yeah.
a sudden. It's
It-
just like, whoa,
That
whoa.
and that's a perfectly reasonable response if you don't spend your day job fighting against rights.
You're ruining other people's lives
Right.
daily.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, yeah, it's no big deal. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like, why do you think people are pushed to these underground, gay hookup sites? It's because they feel like they're marginalized in regular society.
Yeah, and totally are. He's not going to be reelected. I mean, come on. He's not going to. But
Yeah, North Dakota is not. No, once you're out, I can't imagine him.
I don't know, but his voting record's been straight conservative. So I
Not-
mean,
whoa, don't call it straight conservative. There's nothing straight about his voting record. But I think that there are so many bigots that even if it's a bigot who supports your bigoted policies, they're still gonna be like, that's gross. Get out.
Yeah. I don't see how the other people in the
you lied to us.
could take it and just be like, okay.
Although he's single, he's not married. That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be so much worse. He could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, come out. I mean, he came out and he owned it, but I mean, why not,
Why
support
now?
things
Yeah.
that, support you and your community and the people that, need
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, he talks about in this interview about how it's such a relief to be out of the closet finally, and it's not weighing on him anymore. And I'm like, oh, why can't you just have a little bit of empathy for other people who are in your situation and realize you're making it
Well, it's
worse?
not really even empathy.
But he-
sympathy
he could-
for your own situation.
He could have made it better so much sooner if he would have stood up. He could have been that guy that made change in.
He
North
could have been
Dakota.
the unemployed guy.
Well, still, but he would have been.
This
He's going to lose his. I believe that he's going to lose his seat
Oh,
anyway.
totally.
So yeah, if you're gonna lose it anyway, at least be that guy, and for those 2 years, fight for
Equality.
fight for your own equality, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Even if you, I don't know, is it self-loathing?
I think he just really wants that job. I
Yeah,
think he
I think
likes
that's
being in a position of power, and that was the only way he could achieve that.
And completely disregarding the way, like who he is as a person.
Well, it's not the first time it's happened.
No,
so it's
no,
it's,
I mean,
very,
it
it's
happens with-
relatively common,
Well, that's why you would think that people are starting to learn from other people's mistakes, even to where it's like, stop that.
Yeah, but the lesson they learned is like, oh, don't get caught. They're not learning the lesson like, oh, I should just be a better person. It's like, oh no, I gotta really make sure nobody finds out this guy failed though.
I hate people.
one of my favorite quotes is Upton Sinclair, and he once said that it is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends upon his not understanding it. And I see that all over South Texas within the oil fields and the EPA. I see it in this guy who wanted to collect a paycheck and was willing to sell himself out, and everyone like him to keep doing it.
Post show.
Okay, we got something.
You got some for post show.
It's pretty funny. Like, it's just a weird coincidence.
Write it down so you remember.
I totally did.
Okay, good. Okay, so moving on. This past Friday, Corpus Christi Atheists had another table at the Artwalk. Thank you for setting that up for us, Reb, even though you couldn't be there.
I'll try to be at the next one.
This is a month. A lot of people promised they were coming back to talk to us again.
Be
this
on your
time,
A
so-
game.
Yeah, I really hope Reb's there because I really think Reb is awesome at dealing with those people. So
You give him that raspa and he's on.
We had like the first. We did it. You'll remember a few episodes, probably 4 episodes back. We did it last month, and had a great night talking to a lot of atheists, plus a lot of Christians who were just crazy. It was even better this time. A whole bunch more atheists. Talked to a really cool young couple who had a dog named Satan, which was awesome. They kept walking by and I was like, "Hail Satan!" But they got into an argument with one of the art sellers who had created a cross key ring. And they noticed that if you held the key ring up, the cross was inverted, and they were like, "You're selling an inverted cross. This is not acceptable for a Christian."
What have you done?
They were telling me about this. I was like, "Oh, I need this so much." They went and they bought it for me, so now I have the inverted cross keychain. Also, it was awesome.
Where's it at?
It's at my house. Sorry,
Wah.
it's really. I gotta tell you, there's some really cool stuff at Artwalk. There's some really crappy stuff at Artwalk. This keychain is like really crappy. I mean, it looks like something like my daughter would have made in art class. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't go this month, but last month where we went and walking around, it seemed like not all of, but maybe about a quarter of the stuff was the type of stuff that you'd go to like Nuevo Progreso and be able to find on the street and buy for $1.
Well, it's mainly like homemade crafts. Is
Yeah.
what's being sold at Artwalk.
I don't know. It seemed like there was a lot of stuff that wasn't homemade crafts.
Well, you can
and a lot
sell
of-
like you can be a reseller of stuff. I mean, that's what
what it seemed like, a lot of plastic junk being resold. Yeah.
Okay. So, I pulled some more audio. I didn't get all of it because this has been a really weird week for me, but I pulled some more Christian conversation audio from our table that night. The first clip, they surprised us. So this was like the nastiest Christian couple we had to deal with this week. And they came up before like the art walk even started. So we were still kind of setting up, still just kind of wandering around. And so when they came up, I wasn't recording. And so the question they came up and they asked us, they're like, aren't you worried about, oh no, they said, you're going to be very sad when the rapture happens. So that's what they have said when this recording starts. Let me set this up.
And this is just you and the individual.
Okay, so it was me and Justin. Justin is another member. He hasn't been on the show in like 2 years, but Justin and I were the ones who were talking to them. So like towards the end of this clip, I'm going to stop it a couple of times. So towards the end of the clip, it's a couple, a man and a woman, and towards the end, the woman takes Justin aside and is talking to Justin, and I keep talking to the man. So you'll see. That would be a much better world. So, so I felt a little bad because this kind of slipped out while I was talking to them. They said, "Oh, you're going to be really sad when the rapture comes," and so my first comment is, "Oh, that would be really good for us."
The sarcastic remarks like, "Oh, cool, we got the atheist." Like, great, awesome.
I felt bad at the time, but they were such assholes. But by the time they left, I was like, "I'm totally cool with having led with that." Okay, here we go. That would be a much better world for us. You think so? Do you have a good spot? Can we have your stuff?
Huh?
Why do you believe that there's going to be a rapture?
Don't you believe in Jesus Christ at all? You don't believe in your maker?
I do. My parents exist. I just saw them this weekend.
Everything, we know that. And he sent his son here to this earth.
How do you know that?
And we got, it says so right in the book.
How do you know that?
It's right in the book. It's in the book.
But how do you know the book is correct?
The book
but
is
there are
correct.
many holy books. How do you know your holy book is correct?
Because we know it's
How?
because we believe.
Yeah, but why?
Because it's true.
Well, okay. So let me interrupt these people real quick.
You sound like the kid you're in the back that's just like, why?
So they say they believe because the book says it's true. The book is true because they believe it, and we believe it because it's true. These people couldn't even form a complete circle while they were doing their reasoning. I mean, they're like
They kind of did like a figure eight.
Yeah.
Hashtag spiral logic.
Who doesn't like that? That's fun.
It's like, come on, if you're gonna do like the circular reasoning thing, make it a complete circle.
Right.
At least give me that respect. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, let's move on with this guy. But how do you know it's true?
Jesus proved
How?
that he was alive. I mean, he died, went to the grave, and when he was resurrected.
But how do you know that's true?
5,000 people walked that same hill when he showed back up. And he's the only Christian that died.
But none of them wrote it down.
Huh?
But none of them wrote it down. Nobody wrote it down. Nobody who saw him die and rise from the dead wrote it down.
Died. On the cross, he died.
No, but no one thought it was significant enough to write it down.
I can tell you right now, arguing with you ain't gonna get me nowhere.
Oh, is that a give up?
He is correct.
Yes, exactly. You're acting like a dumbass. Yes, you were not going to get anywhere with
Well,
me with
he
this.
could get somewhere if he brought a relevant argument to the table.
Yeah.
Okay, spoiler alert. He doesn't do that. Okay, I want to say right at the top that I don't believe that all religious people are stupid, but these religious people were very stupid. Okay. Well, I'm just asking.
You nowhere. I just want to tell you, you're missing out. You really are. And I'm sorry for you because
We have a better life, to be honest with you. So don't feel sorry for us. We have a much better life without that stuff. But thank you for coming by and talking to us.
okay, yeah, I just just like to change your mind. That's all. If I could.
Well, if you have evidence, we're open to changing our minds. And so if you have something other than you have a book that you think is believed,
our evidence.
but you can't even prove that.
You can prove it. It's in the Word.
But how can you prove that the word is true and accurate? Because there are things in there that aren't
You
accurate.
don't believe in Paul and Peter.
Oh no, Paul was probably a real person.
Huh?
Paul was a real person, but he never met Jesus.
Have you ever had a miracle happen?
No. What's a miracle?
A miracle.
Like what?
is when God intervened.
So can you give me an example of a miracle that's happened for you?
Yes, I am here because of the Lord, because He saved me from hepatocellular carcinoma. That's liver cancer. People don't live. I'm alive and I'm well. I broke 4 vertebrae, excuse me, in my back. I was told I would never walk again without surgery because I had liver cancer.
But so how do you know that?
And by my faith, that's how I
Okay,
healed.
so
Did you go to a doctor?
now, okay, what do you think? So she's just told us that her doctors told her she would never walk again without surgery, and that they tried to kill her. Justin asked her if she went to a doctor. What do you think she said to that?
I'm gonna go with yes.
I'm
If
gonna
she's
go-
walking around,
Yeah.
she didn't get that way by accident.
No, she says no, despite the fact that she.
What? Right?
I'll play it in a second, but despite the fact that she said that the doctors told her things and they tried to kill her, she never saw a doctor. It was all God. It was all God. Hold on.
No doctor did this for me. The doctors nearly killed me.
I'll tell you what, a lot of these doctors
They
are full.
gave me less than 30 days.
A lot of these doctors are full. I was a diabetic until I met her.
I was crazy.
She got me over it.
I was a diabetic before I met her, and now I'm over it.
I was
He
a
has a cure?
right? I was a diabetic, but I'm totally over it.
It's gone now. I did the slapping thing.
Oh, no, stop.
Oh,
Well, maybe she slaps him around a lot, right?
it must. It must be. Okay.
They're completely insane.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
They were nasty too. I mean, I don't know that it comes across in the recording, but they were really
Oh, you
nasty
can hear it
people.
in their.
That angry eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so just a couple more.
Because I was taking about 6, 7 different types of pills for everything. Then I started watching the doctors on TV. I mean, on the internet. And I quit taking all the pills. I don't take no pills, and I'm over my diabetes.
But I mean, people used to be far more religious than they are today, didn't they? I mean,
He literally said diabetes.
I'm over my diabetes.
okay. So I told him, people used to be far more religious than they are today. And I kind of want to pat myself on the back for this trap. It wasn't intended to be a trap. I was trying to make a point, but like he was so excited to hear me say that. He was so excited. And he just went for it. And it was like the best part of this conversation. Back in the day, people say 150 years ago were far more religious than they are today,
Oh, I think
and
so
they
too.
and they died at much higher rates. They
People
died.
like you
They
that
had.
are trying to wipe out religion. That's terrible.
So they were more religious back then, and their lifespans were shorter, and they died of disease more often. And children, the mortality of children was through the roof. Children, can you grab that, Felipe?
Grab what, Felipe?
I know, right? That's what I want to know.
Corpus Christi is the second windiest city in the country, and so like our stickers went flying everywhere, and so I asked Felipe to do that. And someone else,
Thank you, Felipe.
actually, some random stranger, actually, a good Samaritan, if you will.
Way to let us down,
Got
Felipe.
He had one job.
All right. Really, just the last part of this is I just want to pat Justin on the back for yelling at these people all the time. Thank you. Appreciate it. So many children, more children died.
See you accept the Lord as your personal Savior.
Well, if you ever have any evidence, we are open-minded and we'd love to hear it.
I said I'm right here next week. You gonna be here?
Next time?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah, we're always here.
Set up right next to you.
All right.
I got I'll bring you a Bible down.
All right. Great. We'd love to talk to you again. Bring it on down.
I deny Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
I deny Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior.
Whoa.
So while I was yelling at the diabetes guy, Justin was talking to his girlfriend, and apparently what happened is he told her that he used to be a Christian and that blah blah blah, and she was telling, "Oh, you still believe?" And then she goes on to tell him that the only reason that he is pretending to be an atheist is because I am leading him astray. Because I guess because she thought, oh, he used to be a believer and this is the evil one. So
You probably had the T-shirt on. so-
Antichrist.
It's all your fault.
I had my Reasonist Products T-shirt on. It was, the credible Hulk always cites his sources. That's what I was wearing. And so it was totally not evil.
The wrong people take you the wrong direction.
He's horrible. I do admit that. I can make my own decisions.
It's you. It is up to you. He was a believer. But he still believes.
He's the devil.
If
yeah.
Bring us some evidence and we'll believe.
Yes, that's what I need, evidence.
He's not the devil. It's just the devil's got a hold of him.
So she's talking about me, that I'm the devil. And
Oh,
then,
really?
Yeah, but then she backs off and she's like, "Oh, he's not the devil. The devil just has a hold of him."
No, that's like the one argument she makes in there. It's like, oh, you really believe. You're just what? I hate when people
Yeah.
say
yeah.
that.
Towards,
Don't
like,
tell me what I believe. I will tell you what I believe. I'm not going to tell you what you believe.
I'm going to start telling them that deep down inside they don't really believe in God. I'm going to start. That's going to be my new response to that. Just to see what they do.
We should make signs.
Because I'll bet you it'll be interesting because I'll bet you some of them don't. I'll bet you deep down inside some of them are like actually afraid. They're like, oh,
They're like, oh, you got me.
You're totally right because some people just don't want to say the word atheist.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
So
But did they say they were going to set up a table next to us next time?
No, but they told us, and like I said, several people told us, I will come back next month and I will talk to you about. I'll bring the evidence with me. There was one woman that I talked to, and I didn't have time to pull the audio, but I asked her, what evidence she had that her beliefs are true, and she's like, well, the Bible. And I was like, well, what in the Bible? She's like, there's evidence. It's all through there. It's all true. And I was like, okay, well, just give me your best piece of evidence. And she was like, well, I can't because I don't really have enough time right now. And she's like, but have you watched the History Channel? Because there's like some shows you should be interested in. I'm like, Ancient Aliens? Those shows, right?
Yeah.
you should totally watch this because it is going to change your mind, change your life.
So, I kind of cornered her and I was like, obviously you don't believe on the basis of evidence because you don't know what the evidence
Because
is.
if you knew what it was, you'd be like, bam, this is why I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, oh, no, I just, I will come back next month and I will talk to you and I will bring the evidence.
She ain't going to come back.
She's
next
not going.
month. She ain't coming back. If she does, she's going to avoid our table.
If anyone ever came back with their promised evidence,
Yeah.
It would be the greatest day ever.
right?
It'd be the last episode of Atheist Airwaves.
Yeah, it's like, I will ditch all of you. I'll be like, I'm done.
I'm going to be friends
done.
with this guy.
It would be Theist Airwaves.
It's really funny because she tried to cite the History Channel for information on her religion, and being the former son-in-law of a Lutheran pastor, I was told repeatedly not to get my religion from the History Channel. So I don't know whether it's a good source or not now.
But isn't that sad though? It's like the History Channel, which you think, oh, it's going to be
Oh,
about legit historical stuff, and then you look at it and it's just all bullshit.
It's not just the History Channel either. I don't know if anybody's
CNN has
kept
that.
CNN. I was just going to say they've got
Searching
this
for Christ.
In
or
Search of
whatever.
Christ or whatever.
Discovery
it is.
Channel does the same fucking thing.
And their first episode on CNN was about the Shroud of Turin. And we've known for 2 decades that
Yeah, it's
that
a
wasn't
forgery,
that
yeah.
it was a forgery, or at the very least, it was something else, and it was made way later.
Right.
So
They're still trying to push that.
Yeah.
There was a guy on the Corpus Christi Atheist Facebook page who this week literally posted a good novel to our wall, just going on and on about the Shroud of Turin and how it's all real and blah, blah, blah. Jesus is your savior. You need to blah, blah, blah. It was like totally freaking crazy. So the Shroud of Turin thing will never freaking die.
apparently,
The next guy we have is a guy who used to be a stuntman. He came up, he was in a wheelchair. I felt bad for this guy because he was...
Is he not a good stuntman?
I didn't...
We should totally find out.
I swear that's exactly what I wanted to ask him, but like I didn't... I was a little less callous than that.
Those at home, just save your letters. I know I'm a good person.
Ryan knows he's wrong. He's not sorry, but he's not going to be sorry, and writing him is not going to do anything. But God at atheistairwaves.com if you must. Okay, so I felt bad for this guy because he seemed like he had 1 foot in atheism and 1 foot in Christianity, and he was just confused and scared. And the first clip is only like 5 seconds long, but it's really emblematic of like 3 or 4 people who came up to our table.
Would you say he was unable to move his legs out of each circle?
Oh, dude.
No.
Okay, I'm just gonna bite this. Sorry?
How does that work?
How does what work?
Atheist.
I don't know why I muted my mic so that I can. So he was asking, how does that work? What? Atheism. There were like 4 people who walked up and were just utterly baffled by the whole thing. And at least 2 of them, one talked to Amanda and one talked to me, said, so what is atheism? Oh, it means you don't believe in any gods. So who is your God? It's
So
like,
cute.
I don't think you're getting it.
So, like, what church do you go to then?
Exactly. Like, it's so far outside of Corpus Christi people's, realm of knowledge that they just cannot grok it at all. Okay, so
Magnets, how do they work?
yes, exactly.
Ooh.
So then he goes on to talk about faith and its role in belief. Why are you not playing?
It's probably
The
Roby.
thing that gets me is that with Christianity, they say you have to believe without knowing. You have to have absolutely no proof and just trust.
Yep. That's what almost all religions say that.
Yeah.
Because you have to, because
You have to have faith.
but if you don't have evidence, you have to say it takes faith, because otherwise it sounds like nonsense.
Yeah.
And who would believe it?
I just, I keep thinking, even believing in no God takes faith, because there's no real proof of that either.
Well, I will tell you that most.
I mean, there are events that happen in the world that just cannot be explained.
Like what?
People coming back from the dead.
I've never heard of such a thing.
They've got so much documentation on it that it's just...
So much documentation, you guys.
I love that
Like,
that's
bro,
what he thought
it's on the
of, though.
internet.
That's his first go-to.
I absolutely loved at the beginning. He's like, I just keep thinking about it, and they
It's
keep
like,
asking.
keep doing that.
Yeah, please. That's awesome. Keep thinking about it. But then he makes, that logical fallacy jump to there's evidence of people coming back from the dead. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that are pronounced clinically dead and have been revived. Jesus didn't do that.
That's not a miracle.
Defibrillator and CPR and well-trained medical professionals did that. They built that.
But it's in a book.
So
Okay, well, so let me tell you, because wow.
Sorry.
Right into the mic. Like a boss.
Whoops.
I talked to him at length about what documentation he's seen. And I'm going to spare you the next 5 minutes of our conversation and just give you this spoiler. He doesn't have any. It's literally like stories. And he told me this story about this preacher who wrote a book and this miraculous thing happened. I'm like, that sounds like a story you tell because you want people to buy your stupid book. That's all I got with that.
That's the entire premise of the Bible.
Right. And he also said he believed in ghosts, and I asked him why, And he said because he's seen some videos on YouTube.
Oh, I love YouTube.
I love YouTube for, like fixing my guitar.
Right.
For learning how to tie a tie.
There it is. Oh, you can't even get porn on YouTube. It's there are better places.
That's the only thing Christians ever look for
I
on
know,
YouTube.
right? I'm like, okay, but there's still pretty cool
And-
stuff on YouTube.
And I've really looked. So
Most I've seen is the twerking videos. That's about as close as you get.
okay. So and Reb's really looked.
There's some good ones out there.
He's had a
Some
long
good
day.
Reb's gonna go home and relax with some twerking videos.
That's exactly what he's gonna look for.
Okay, so this last clip, he brought up Pascal's wager, because he's afraid not to believe. And I felt bad for this guy because, like I said, he was just kind of talking out loud to me and just sort of like, these are my concerns and these are my thoughts. Like, it sounds like BS, but I'm scared or whatever. And like I said, he's a stuntman, so he has a stuntman background, and that's kind of what he brings up in this next clip.
I was trained as a stuntman. First thing you learn is you never take chances. You cover every possibility that you can.
Right.
But there's no way to cover every possibility. See, the thing that gets me is that with Christianity, they say...
Okay, so, his big deal was you can't, because I had told him, there's like 14,000 gods, and, there's like a Muslim hell and a Hindu hell and a Christian hell, and he's not concerned with Muslim hell and Hindu hell. And he was saying, he can't possibly cover himself on all of those things. We're just going to worry about one. But, the trap has him.
Game theory would say you would need to consider all the other ones
Right.
because they're worse in most cases.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I was like, Muslim hell is way worse than Christian hell. I would, if I had to bet on one, I would go with Islam. I would be like, that's the hell I want to avoid. I don't want to have lead poured into my ear every day. It's not something that sounds cool to me. But I mean, it surprises me that even when confronted with, when I I fixed it. Even when confronted with, how often do you worry about Muslim hell? How often do you worry about Hindu hell? And he's like, not at all. I'm like, that's how much I worry about Christian hell. And it's the same thing. You're just trapped in a sociological trap. And that's all that is. He can't break free. I'm totally going to sneeze, but I'm not.
I found that doing this little number helps a lot, but that's just me.
Okay. No, that seemed
Just muscle through it. Just muscle through it.
There it is.
This is exciting live radio.
Dead air.
Oh, God. Okay, Tech Leslie in the chat room says she manages a school district's internet usage, and there's totally porn on YouTube.
Oops.
That's freaking amazing.
Wow.
I gotta look harder. Send me some links. Why are you not?
I'm so sad that you haven't been able to find it. Come on, man.
I know.
Step up your game.
My skills are poor.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry. The last thing I wanted to say about this, though, is that it really just reminded me of something I posted on the Corpus Christi Atheists Facebook page this week, which really, to me, illustrated just how ridiculous religion and its claims are. So this meme said, religion is like having a classroom where the students have to show up every day, but there's no teacher. There are a bunch of books around and no one is even sure which one is the textbook. Some students insist on one book, others argue just as hard for another. Then suddenly on the last day, the teacher appears and says he's been watching everybody the whole time. He praises the ones who chose the right textbook and sends them off to have cookies and milk, and then he sets everyone else on fire. That makes total sense, right? I mean, this is, if you were an all-knowing, all-powerful being, this is the system you would set up, right? I mean, because just for the lulz, I think.
You just want to watch and see
gotta
what
entertain
happens.
yourself.
Yeah.
Well, technically, I mean, the meme's incorrect because there is no teacher at the end.
That's true. But I mean, you're just taking their own system, because they would say that, of course there is. But drives me crazy. Let's talk about some Wisconsin posters.
In Manitowoc, Wisconsin, Lincoln High School has removed sexist prom posters after a student complaint and a letter from the FFRF. The offending posters were sponsored by 2 local Christian organizations, go figure, and were headlined with "A Night to Protect Her Character."
I was so surprised because I clicked on the link. Oh, that's interesting. And then when you see the poster and it's in the shape of a female body with the dress and like the words are all in there, I was like, holy shit. Like they totally went all out when they did this poster.
Like a word cloud or something?
In the shape of a woman.
Uh-huh.
With a long neck to toe dress.
Yeah.
I mean,
covering the ankles.
To the floor.
No bit of skin showing on this word person.
I couldn't believe that was real.
And the word cloud included words like honest, loyal, and independent.
Oh,
that's nice.
No, wait for it.
Oh, did you have a better word?
There's better.
I didn't have better. What did you say?
Oh my god damn, dude. Okay, so it also included words like tidy.
Oh, I missed tidy.
This tidy is part of a woman's character. And then the one that just put me through the back wall was quiet.
Oh.
They put quiet in there. Like, oh, honey, just shh. The boys are talking now.
My husband would so be proud of that one, right? He's like, whatever.
A girl's character seriously comes from her silence. This is the message they're sending to high school children.
And the obvious implication being that the woman needs these positive, with air quotes, character traits. She needs those protected by men rather than making her own choices. And that this is a prom poster, so any sexual activity that normally occurs after prom night, that's going to somehow destroy her character.
Yeah. And this is what...
And that somehow only dudes want to have sex.
Yeah. Apparently no posters about protecting males' characters could be found.
Yeah. Because boys just want to have sex, and so you can't protect them really much. It's
they're too far gone. They're too far gone.
Boys are gonna be boys,
Stop channeling that shit. So her name is Kelsey Schindel. She's the one who wrote into the FFRF and got this stuff taken care of. She gave an interview to a local news station, and what she said was awesome. She said, quote, there is so much messed up about this poster. The insinuation that if you do have sex, then you don't have any character anymore is a horrible message to send, and there are no posters to say protect his character. All the things we just mentioned. This is a senior in high school. She's awesome. But this is such a great point, because if you look at statistics, literally they are looking at most of the students in their high school and saying, none of you have character. Most of the students. Because by the age of 13, 6% of American teenagers have done it. And by the time they're seniors in high school, it's 62%. Most of the people in this high school are having sex. People like having sex. They're going to do it whether you educate them about it or not. They're going to do it whether they think their character is dependent upon it or not. This is not an okay message to be sending to people. It's not healthy.
Well, not only that, they're saying that, and men are going to try to rape you, or, well, not saying that,
Not
but
rape,
they're
but they're
basically
gonna try-
implying that they're going to try to, coerce you to do it.
Rob you of your character.
Damage
It's
you
going to be
somehow.
all their fault. It's not that you want to do it. It's their fault.
Yeah.
So that's the one issue.
And that those same guys are then supposed to then protect your virtue as well.
The same guys you have to watch out for are the ones that they're asking to protect your virtue.
So the other issue about this is that they are being promoted by 2 religious organizations. And that's, I don't know. So the religious organizations say these are not religious messages.
Well, they're technically not religious messages. They're just shitty messages.
But they're tied up
They're
in it.
based on their religious view of sexuality.
There's plenty of atheists that are also misogynist as well.
Sure.
Definitely.
But
They're not the good ones.
But that does not mean that this message is not tied up in.
Oh, I'm sure this one had its origin in it, but
that's all.
It
And that's
totally
all. That's
did.
all you
Well,
need.
yeah.
That's all you need. So, so I don't really even care about that, but because I think they can technically do that, but Sam Grover of the FFRF, in his letter to them, wrote fantastically to them. What you're doing is opening yourself up to the garage sale again. So Sam wrote, quote, "The district has two options. First, it can remove the religious posters from the walls of the Lincoln High School and apologize to students for their display. Or second, it can leave up the sexist, paternalistic messages and accept speech from all perspectives, including other private organizations like the Freedom from Religion Foundation and students who wish to present an opposing viewpoint on the importance of chastity." And I want to mention here that the initial thing that this student did, and she's awesome, Kelsey, I love you. She went to the principal and said, "I want to put up my own messages saying that you can be a
go
good
buck wild, girls. Hell yeah."
that, you know, choosing to have sex, two consenting individuals choosing to have sexual relations does not rob them of their character. And he said, "No, you can't do that." And Sam Grover nails it. You either have to say, yes, you're Christian churches and you're anti-abortion. What the hell is an anti-abortion clinic? One of these organizations is an anti-abortion. It's a clinic. What do they do there? Nothing.
Well, I would assume everything but contraception and abortion.
Do you know what they do? They get people. They do people into showing up to an anti-abortion clinic. They call themselves a clinic, and then they try to talk women out of getting abortions.
Do
that
they
want.
at least get them like prenatal care or anything?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I mean, if they're doing at least that, then I guess sort of.
All they do is they put you on an abortion waiting list that is just long enough to get you past
the 20 or 25
right.
or 26 week.
Whatever the week
that your
limit
state
is.
decides it's going to be fine for you to do it.
And then they kick your ass out of the clinic. That's I'm pretty sure that's what occurs there. That just destroys my mind.
Yeah.
This is what I don't know how everyone with the gurgling.
See that time.
I don't know how you are a professional in the field of education and you don't know these statistics. You don't know that people have sex. Surely some of these people went to high school, right?
Yeah, you don't know that there's a high school, is it in Texas, that 1 out of 15 students has gonorrhea because they teach abstinence only. I don't think that made it into the show, but it's statistics like that. And like as a principal, you have to know the things like that. You have to know that Texas leads the nation in high school pregnancies or whatever under 18 pregnancies. If you don't know things, you can't fix things. And I love the garage sale or the fire sale argument. Garage sale. If you want to let this view in, then you have to let all the views in. And lo and behold, they took down all the signs. Which you know what? That works for me.
That works. That works. They should never have been up in the first place. They've been up there for years. But as long as we're good going forward, at least that's some kind of victory, I guess. We just have a few minutes left in the show. I do want to mention that Corpus Christi Atheist this week, we just learned that we won 3 Heart of Humanism awards from the Foundation Beyond Belief, which is amazing for our volunteer work over the last year. And this is the 3rd annual Heart of Humanism awards, and no organization has ever won 3 awards in 1 year. So yay, Corpus Christi Atheists. We're awesome.
Trendsetters.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We have set the bar. So I really want to thank everybody in our organization who's worked so hard, who's donated their time, blood, sweat, tears, money to all of the things we do. And we've every year since we started doing this in like 2010, we started really focusing on volunteerism. And this past year has been like crazy in terms of, I mean, it's been getting more and more and more in terms of what we give back to the community, and people in this town know it. They know that the atheists do this stuff. So it's important and it's great to be recognized nationally. The other thing I wanted to mention is that Ustream is working again, so our post shows have started flowing once more. So if you would like to support our show and get access to our post show content, please visit patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves. Tonight we're going to be talking about boobs. We're going to figure out what a kundalini is. We're going to talk about PD's Christian co-workers and her conversation with them, and something that PD wrote down. What did you write down about?
It's funny. It just kind of ties it all in, and y'all get it, so it's
Something
fine.
funny.
Oh,
It's I was cracking up.
so if you want to hear something funny, patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves.
I will say this: like I watched the Screaming Seagull post show, and it's like, oh, and like I laughed all over it again. You know,
Yeah.
like I was there and I laughed, and I rewatched it and I laughed out like, and then I watched the next one from last episode. I was like, oh, I just want to slit my wrists.
Okay, so since Ustream fixed itself, I posted the Screaming Seagull episode, which was all about sex. And don't go look up what a Screaming Seagull is. Donate to patreon.com/.
And find out what it is there.
Find out, because there's sound effects, so it's good. But then last week's episode was all about death. So this week is going to be good because there's going to be like boobs and stuff. So that's good.
One other thing, since we're talking about our volunteering and stuff, Saturday is the glass recycling from 9 to 3.
Is that Saturday?
It's Saturday.
Oh, damn. I got to...
Yeah,
I want to do that again.
It's from 9 to 3. I'm not quite sure when and where we're going to show up. We'll probably show up sometime between 10 and 11, just because we come from Kingsville. Arturo and I know Stevens is a part of it.
What exactly is a glass recycling day?
Oh, it's so much fun.
Good.
It's like one of the best days ever.
Do you have pent up anger that you want to release?
Oh.
Totally.
Okay, so let me... I'm going to probably edit this out of the final show. But seriously, the glass recycling days, we stopped doing them out of protest after the city fired Angela, who was a Christian, but who was a huge ally of ours.
She was super awesome.
And they fired her for saying we should ban plastic bags.
Well, not that we should ban them. It's just like plastic bags are the biggest pollution
sure. in our city.
So said something true, fired her, you
and
guys
then
protested.
HEB and Walmart had her fired. So we have not been doing those things for a while. I think, it's been a couple of years. I think we'll go back and start working with them again. But it's so great. People drive up with boxes and boxes of glass bottles, and you just throw them in a damn thing.
You break so many bottles during the day. It's so much fun.
It's great.
It really is a good time.
It's the best thing ever. I'm so glad you brought that up. We'll post that in the Atheist Airwaves Facebook page if you're local and you want to come. I'll post it in the meetup page and all that stuff.
Thanks to everybody that contributed to our glass from all the parties.
We
have a shit ton of glass we're bringing to Cal Island on Saturday.
Okay, so the last thing, I just wanted to hit this last story really fast. Because this is a really great idea. We should definitely do more of this news story. A Christian lawmaker in, of course, Oklahoma, was speaking against Senate Bill 548, which would give raises to the state's Supreme Court justices. He said that the justices haven't completely locked down women's bodily autonomy. Like, they still have some choices about whether they are pregnant or not. And so he doesn't think that they therefore deserve to
You're
have
going to play the
raises.
audio, right?
No. Is there audio?
Oh, you didn't hear the audio from it?
Oh, I did, but I didn't think it was good. Was it good?
Yeah, he goes and he... God damn it. It's like I thought that should have been the intro audio. It was so amazing.
Really? Because I thought I listened to it and I thought...
It starts off slow, but as soon as it gets to his...
All right, I'm going to play it. Rather than reading it, I'm going to play it, and then if Reb's wrong, I'm going to edit it out and I'm going to read it. Because,
Gotta give him a break today.
Let's see, where is it? All right, here we go. Maybe.
On election day, they let them go into effect for
It does that. That's just the audio for
days. Didn't want to say anything while their retention ballots were still at stake. And then on election day, they struck those laws. 2 laws passed by this body overwhelmingly,
just keep letting them play.
bipartisan support just last year. Members, this kind of injustice simply can't stand. If I were not a Christian and didn't have a prohibition against suicide, I'd walk across the street, douse myself in gasoline, and set myself on fire to protest evil that is going on over there.
Oh, that's amazing.
I heard that's like, oh, that's got to be the intro audio. I just didn't get time to say so.
We missed it.
I didn't even hear that. I never saw that video.
Man, that's so great. I think we need to promote this idea. And I'm sure you can justify anything in the Bible. I'm sure we can find a way to justify self-immolation using
something
scripture.
in there.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will burn as bright as... I'm sure that's in there. The book is so fucking long. But if we could just convince a lot of right-wing Christian lawmakers to self-immolate,
I don't know, my first reaction was like, no, don't.
Please don't. People care about you.
Come back. Stop what you're doing.
You have so much to live for. All right. Anyone have any last thoughts on that, douche? All right. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves, sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you'd like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com. Thank you to Tombstone to Dead Man for our outro music. And please support our show at patreon.com/atheistairwaves. We will see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with us with Reb's dead car and late start.
Woo.
See ya.
Bye.
Being a skeptic means so much more than being an atheist. And until you accept that, you won't relate to this. That cognitive dissonance that you experience is when there's things you claim to believe in but ain't living it. Most of you say you are the type to question everything until I hear the conspiracy theories that you echoing. And when I scrutinize the things you try to say are lies, expose your sources as suspect, I see your logic dies. Some still believe in pseudosciences, engage in special pleading when theists use the exact same reasoning. I've even seen atheists use arguments from ignorance and seem more pressed to tell me exactly just what the difference is. A skeptic without the ability to analyze is just as bad as the theist, cause he'll probably accept a lie. Just as long as it verifies all his biases, applying it to his knowledge pool, and then he's diving in. So I'm not saying that some conspiracies do not exist. I'm just saying that a lot of them are some bullshit. So I'ma call a spade no matter who asserts it. Nobody's perfect, and just one lie, then it's all perverted. Bring down the curtains on that sad display. The only ways to question yourself and all the things you say. Start the day, and maybe we can rise above and be examples for others to emulate, and that's the way we win this battle. So this is where I'm making my stand, and now regardless who don't like it or how they get mad, see why the rest of y'all capitulate and go with the plan. I'll be beating on this wall until I'm breaking my hand. So listen while I state official policy. No matter how I'm threatened with hell, then never silence me. I know that you don't see this as imperative, but I refuse to lose and let the stupid frame the narrative.